I sit on the Marketing, Communications, Technology, and Advertising Committee. And my specialty is new media production. What is new media production? New media production is the production of any and all media on digital platforms. Digital platforms meaning mobile devices, computers, in-car applications, and in-home devices. DIRadioCast is a new media network that focuses on music technology and the implementation of technology in small business. We started in 2006 on September 5th, which was yesterday. We celebrated 7 years. We started on September 5th, 2006. And the reason we started, because I hate for people to tell me no. That was it. The internet is like the best thing that ever happened to me, because I can work effectively, I can be creative, and I can be efficient. You know, you can't have adult programming because nobody over 24 is spending money, but that doesn't make sense to me, right? Because when you're in your mid-20s, you're either heading into managerial positions. If you're over 20, then you're either thinking about over 24. You're either thinking about becoming an entrepreneur or heading towards being in upper management positions. So you have money, and if you have kids, you're providing them with the money. So why not market to those people, right? So that was the reason why I started. But my introduction to Google was in 2005, and I found that while I was working at the company, it was the most effective way for me to communicate with not only my staff, and I must say I had a wonderful staff, but I had the best assistant, right? She spoke no English. She spoke in colors, images, and words. She was from Japan. No English, but she was like an illustrator, and she did crazy CGI, which is computer generated images, which is what I needed for that industry. So in order for me to communicate with her, I used Google. And they had Google Translate, and I'd write all my stuff down, and then I'd hit translate and send it to her in Japanese, and she'd be like, oh, word wrong. I'm like, I don't care, do you understand what I'm saying? And I'd come back the next morning, and my layout, my template that I wrote out for her to do as a project would be done to the T. And at that point, I fell in love with Google. I said, I don't care. I don't care what you bring me. This is the platform that I'm going to use. In 2006, mid-2006, we introduced vlogging to our network. So now I was doing an audio podcast, and I was doing a vlog. And we were using, at the time, Google Video. Later that year, Google purchased YouTube and closed down and discontinued Google Video. So all of our content, all of our videos that we had on Google Video, then translated over to YouTube. Now, when was the first time you were introduced to YouTube? It seems like it's always been there, right?
Yeah.
It just happened 7 years ago. YouTube, the purchase of YouTube, from Google just happened 7 years ago. And that's when people started to really know what YouTube was. YouTube was actually started by three former programmers from PayPal. In 2007, I started building the website for my company. In 2007, we started to integrate a lot of the Google. We started to use a lot of the Google ecosystem to do our site. In 2008, they introduced we introduced web integration using API coding. This made everything better. If you had a Gmail account, anything that you did, your correspondence and whatever, it all tracked your activities. So if you made friends with somebody or if you knew somebody, it would show up. It's similar to now what we know as social media. This was the actual introduction of the social media trend across the board. At the time, who remembers MySpace? MySpace was a joint, right? If you didn't have MySpace, you was not saying anything, and that was 2000. That was 2006. To me, it never really seemed logical to send traffic someplace else. But anyway, that's a different conversation. So Google wanted to do the same. They wanted to be able to capture that audience. And in 2008, we started to integrate the API coding into our network. Because my goal was to become a completely Google-based outlet. I wanted to get in bed with Google. I still want to get in bed with Google. I want to get in bed with Google. That's my plea to Google. So, an API is an application program interface, and it's great for the end user because it guarantees programs using API will have the same experience across the board. In 2010, Google introduced Google Docs to compete with Microsoft's Word, right? Do you know what Google Docs did? Google Docs changed everything. If you had a Word file, if you needed to create an Excel, again, the same experience across the board. No matter what device or platform you were on. Everything exists in the cloud. Do you guys know what the cloud is? Don't all talk at the same time. The internet, right? The internet is the cloud. It's not this mythical thing that happens. The cloud is the internet. And if you go to the browser, you'll have the same experience across the board because you're on the internet. There's no software that you have to upload or download or whatever the case may be. You're already on that. You're already in that environment. So they created Google Docs that allowed you to make a compatible spreadsheet for whichever device you were on, and also open that spreadsheet in whichever device you were on inside the applications that you were able to save those applications, right? And you did this digitally in the cloud. So you can share this information with whomever. In 2012, late 2012, you may have noticed that the Google Docs logo changed, and they renamed it to Google Drive in late 2012. And which brings us to today. All right.